I guess not too quickly. The waitlist feature was developed as a complement to our collaborative client referrals feature and allows agencies to place clients on their local waitlist that are awaiting their housing and service needs to be fulfilled. The system allows for waitlist days to be created and tracked within your agency. Now, this waitlist stuff, it's not just for housing. We've kind of opened it up to basically allow agencies to use it however they see fit. If they want to just use it for housing, that's great, but they don't have to. As with a lot of the things in the system, especially referrals, waitlists are transactionally based again and couldn't contain multiple clients within the same transaction, basically one or more household members. All local waitlist features, basically they're created one of two ways, either through a referral request or locally in an agency. As we showed before, within each client, there's basically an Add to Waitlist tab. Basically, when you go in there, it's broken up into a couple areas. You basically have your current waitlist area that shows all the current stays a client may have. Within that agency, and actually it'll only be one because the client can only have a single stay per agency, as well as an area where you can actually define and create a waitlist stay. The top part of that section, of course, includes all household members by default. Basically, you can deselect anybody that you don't want added within that section. And it's very similar to the referrals. Directly below that, that's pretty much all the same screen, just showing different sections of the screenshot. To create the referral or waitlist request, there's basically about 5 or 6 different data elements that need to be collected before the waitlist request or waitlist transaction can be created. That includes the waitlist type, and that basically mirrors the referral type. That includes housing only, services only, or housing and services waitlist type, depending on what the client's needs are. The program type, that is optional, but we do recommend, if you do know their needs, to put that in, because it also is a feature that can allow users to filter within their waitlist transactions. And it also is smartly filtered depending on the waitlist type. It's only housing only. It only shows housing program types. Waitlist priority, housing status, add to waitlist date, and alternate contact information. That is all basically the same information that we went over that's collected during the referral and basically follows the same rules. The waitlist date, of course, like I said before, will always default to today, but you can always change it if you want to. Once the information's entered, you pretty much just hit add, and the information gets added. The other place that you can add a person to a waitlist, or at least start the waitlist transaction, is within the bed management module. If you got a client checked into a residential program and they're not currently checked into any inventory, next to the check-in button, they'll have a little add to waitlist button. Basically, you click that, and then what it basically does is it just takes you to that waitlist screen that we just showed you and allows you to fill out the transactions, kind of a little shortcut to take you to that screen. Once a waitlist transaction is created, we'll kind of go into a little bit of the management features of once it's created, how to manage it, what the functions are within it. We have a dedicated waitlist feature basically on the action menu. Basically, as of right now, it is available to all agency users. When you click on it, it's basically just got a single area. There's no filters or anything. A waitlist stay is a waitlist stay. And it basically show all the transactions here with all the different data elements, basically, that were collected. Now, the system always sorts by default, are sorted by the add to waitlist date. That's how they're all sorted by default. And it always shows the one that is collected or entered the latest on top. Basically, as the clients that have waited the longest for services should be placed near the top of the list and basically be next in line. So it's kind of one of those things where you always want to fish for the stays at the top of the program, of the wait list. Waitlist transactions can be sorted in a couple of ways. Basically, you can click on any of these specific wait list or data elements. It'll basically sort ascending, descending to kind of provide information there. Now, what we've also done is provide some search criteria, search methods for these wait list transactions, because we have a feeling that once these wait lists gets going, I mean, there could be hundreds of transactions, hundreds of clients within your wait list waiting for services or housing. And it'd be very difficult to kind of search through all of them. So we added two different areas. We basically have a keyword search where you can enter in either an ID, which is either you can enter a waitlist ID or a referral ID, and it'll basically bring up just that transaction. Or you can also, we have a program type filter that basically in this drop down has all the different program types, permanent supportive housing, emergency shelter, and it basically, anyone you select, any waitlist stay that has that program type will basically show up on the screen. So you can kind of use these in conjunction. You can fill out, a household name plus a program type, and when you're done with that, you basically just hit the search button, and the system will basically return any matches that it finds. Basically, I think it's a pretty useful system, especially when those lists get pretty big. To view a waitlist transaction, you basically open it up, just click on the record, and as you see here, basically it shows all the information that was entered when the waitlist transaction was created. Every single member that was added, we have the blue information bar, just like the referrals, shows clients and household information. It also has a grid here of all the household members that are included, their position, age, gender, as well as contact information. That's all showed there. Then as you can see here, all the information except for the add to waitlist date is open and configurable. So it allows kind of current waitlist stays to be changed. The reason we did this is, since waitlists are transactional based and they could have multiple service needs, once a service need is met, you can go in there and change it. Maybe their needs may change while they're waiting. We wanted to allow that flexibility to change and update that as the client's needs change. We also have another thing in there called waitlist contacts. That's actually directly below, as you see here, down below here on the same screen is what we call waitlist contacts. Each waitlist stay affords the ability to enter and track outreach contacts that occur with clients during the stay. So if any contact that you have with those clients on the wait list, about their service needs or about the wait list stay, we definitely provide an area for you to track those. Pretty easy to enter in this information. You basically pick a contact type, which basically is about 12 or so different selections, and it basically is broken down between how it happened, by phone, by email, in person, and also what the connection method was. Was it in person, in the office, was an email from the client, that sort of thing. Then you enter in the date that the contact occurred, and that's pretty much all the required fields that you need. Now, there's also a comment section that can be optionally used to enter in any notes or information about that contact. So you pretty much hit add, and the system adds the contacts. And as you see here, it's transactionally based. So, there could be people on the wait list for months and months. You could have, 10, 5, 10, 15 different wait list contacts, and they can all be tracked within each specific stay. Now, another feature that we have there is what we call kind of an important notice feature. Basically that, say you have contact with, a client on the wait list and information has changed, or they need new needs arise. Basically, when you create the contact, there's basically a checklist. That little checkbox here is basically called important notice. If you check this box, when you hit save, it'll basically kind of turn on an alert, and both the contact note as well as the entire record will be flagged as what we call important. And it basically can be used, say you enter in, important information that you want to disseminate to other agency staff. You can use this option so that when other people look at it, the red kind of flashing right at you, they'll know to look at it, take a look, come to this contact, and, be provided with that new important information. Now that contact information as well as the entire record will remain bright red until the actual notice is button is unchecked. So if you look at it and see it and you think other people may want to read it, leave it be, but once you realize, okay, you know, the important information has been disseminated, you can go in here, uncheck that box, hit save again, and it will go back to a regular gray record within the system. All right, now we have the waitlist functions, a lot like the referral functions. We have functions related specifically just to waitlist functions, and there's two there that are there always by default. There's a third there that's there under certain circumstances, and there's remove from waitlist, enroll from waitlist, and those are the two that are there all the time. Remove from waitlist, basically, when you click that button, it basically kind of removes the waitlist. It kind of deletes the transaction, moves it to history, basically says it's done. It can be for two reasons, whether, you know, mistake or even the client's needs have been met. The other is enroll from waitlist, and what that actually does is when you click that, it basically takes one of the clients and takes the user directly to the program enrollment screen and basically allows kind of like the accept referral and enroll option, basically takes the user directly to enroll the clients in any program enrollment. Now, the one that is kind of variable on certain criteria for the client is this check-in waitlist. Now, that is only available because it basically allows a person to go directly to the bed management module to actually perform a check-in into a residential program. Now, that option is only available if one or more clients attached to the waitlist transaction is A, in a residential program, and B, is currently not enrolled in any inventory. When that scenario happens, the system will pop up the check-in button. And also, since, you know, there could be multiple different combinations of clients in different housing programs, the system will basically provide a selection list of which program you want to check the client into. Now, if there's only one program that meets that criteria, it's basically going to be default here. So if you click check-in, you know you're going to be able to put the clients into, you know, the permanent supportive housing program. But if there's one or two or more programs, the system will basically provide a drop-down for you to select. You know, you could have a permanent supportive and an emergency shelter program that meets those basically criteria. And after selecting the program and hitting check-in, what the system does is it kind of looks at all the clients on the waitlist transaction, and it'll take you directly to the first client that is enrolled in that residential program and doesn't have inventory. So it's very intelligent and flexible on the different options it can provide. Now, waitlist completion. Once the clients within a waitlist stay have been provided with all their necessary housing and services, the waitlist transaction should be removed from the system and the agency's list. Allowing waitlist transactions to remain long after their usefulness will only cause the list to grow probably unmanageable. We actually, you know, think, you know, the agencies that do use it, they're going to get very big, especially if they're not managed very well. So if, you know, clients are still, you know, are basically finished and, you know, shouldn't be on the list anymore, if you don't take care of them and remove them, that list is going to include a mixture of people needing services, people that have received services. So that's one thing that you definitely want to try to take care of manually. Now, in lieu of that, the system actually has put in intelligent processes to try to help you manage those waitlist stays as well. And it basically does two different things where it'll actually prompt the user to say, hey, do you want to remove this waitlist transaction? Do you want to update this waitlist transaction? Or do you want to just ignore what I'm, you know, stay on the current screen? But it does it on two different circumstances. If it's a service-based waitlist stay, it will prompt the user for either to remove the waitlist stay, to update the waitlist, or to ignore once all clients are successfully enrolled into a program. Once that's done, that's when you get the prompt. Now, and it's got to be all clients. It can't just be one of the clients. It needs to be the whole thing. Now, with housing-based waitlist stays, the system will prompt for these, remove, update, or ignore once the user has added, once all clients have been successfully checked into, enrolled into and checked into inventory within a residential program. That's when that prompt will come up. And because we're not sure, because clients may have multiple needs and everything, we need your help to kind of determine whether it should be removed or not. Okay, that kind of comes to the conclusion. Just a couple notes about our website, PHMIS website, www.newpa.com /PHMIS. Has a whole bunch of important information there. There's a new PA Technical Assistance link down in this gold action menu that'll take you there. It's got publications, documentation, training library, that sort of thing. We do recommend, as you said earlier, please review the appropriate feature guides for the upcoming system release. Right now it's not located there, but we hope to have a whole bunch of new system documentation as well as the feature guides up on our website in the training section, very close to or on the day of the release. And then we have a whole bunch of different data series, housing inventory, client data, collaborative tools. We definitely recommend you guys taking a look at that for details and information. Okay, that does it. That completes today's supplemental training features.